Hello, everyone. Today's guest is Jake Luhrs, lead singer of August Burns Red. I've known Jake for a few years now, but it feels like I've known him my entire life. We cover a bunch of different things. We cover music. We touch on God a little bit. We touch on a bunch of his different projects. We cover a lot. It gets really good towards the end. But we did try something. He's our first guest who has not been in the studio. So he's currently in Pennsylvania. We're in Montana. We used a new platform called Squadcast that didn't really work out too well for us. The video just randomly dropped out. It kept freezing. So you guys that are watching on YouTube will have a little bit of video, but not the entire time. And then I'm also not totally thrilled about the audio, but we're going to continue to sort of like work through this and get you guys a better product. But there's some gold in there, so I suggest you listening, and I would just like to apologize in advance for the audio. All right, everybody, here we go.
So what got you doing this podcast? Like what?
This isn't how podcasts work, bro. You don't come on my podcast and then ask me questions.
Oh.
Right?
I mean, I guess not.
But I'll answer your questions. Well, I guess the first question, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have a lot to offer, right? I feel like I've done a lot of things, and I don't know what it is that I have to offer, but I figure if I talk to enough of my friends and I babble enough onto a microphone, that maybe I'll say something that will influence someone to do something cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't have like an overall mission statement.
Right. Okay.
For the
yeah,
podcast.
I wasn't sure if you were like, this is what this is about. This is what I'm trying to get at. Blah, 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 blah.
No, I didn't want to overcomplicate it I didn't want to like hesitate too much by waiting to think of something like that. That's why it's just called like the Rob Bailey Show. It's like, I don't know. Well, I want to see what it evolves into, and I didn't want to like, hesitate because we didn't have a good name or catchy title.
Right. That's cool. I dig it, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
thanks, dude.
That's cool. Thanks for having me on your show I'm the first.
You're the first person that's not like someone I work with every single day. So I've had like Austin and my brother, not my brother yet, but Dana, people that like I'm used to talk. This is my first. It almost feels international, like an international call right now. Oh, you froze. He's frozen.
It froze up. Oh.
Jake. I know. It's a little, hurts the heart a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I haven't like seen an actual person and watched them talk to me for like, I don't know, a month.
I know, and the video felt like it was going to work so well. So you're like legit quarantined.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean,
brutal.
For the most part, I mean, it's like I don't go anywhere. I'm not.
And you live alone, right?
Yeah, I live with my dog, Winston.
Oh wow! So so out here in Montana, nothing's really different. Like the restaurants are closed, but like I don't know. Our warehouse is still open. We have some people working from home. I still train with my trainer every morning. There's the same amount of traffic. Everything's literally just the same except for restaurants being closed.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I haven't really felt it. Mm-hmm. But I guess
we're not like New York City where like it's not like that, thankfully. But it's definitely like, I could go to the grocery store, but that's pretty much it. And there's definitely not like any gyms or you're not supposed to be hanging out with your boys. So it's like it's me, Winston. I have a roommate. He lives on the bottom half of my house.
Yeah, it's like
a suite type of thing. So it's got a kitchen and everything. But him and I don't hang out much. He's hanging out with his family and his girlfriend and stuff. So like, yeah, I ride my motorcycle. I ride my lawnmower.
Yeah. So the video was nice. That was man. So for everyone listening, we almost had a little video conference going, and it was wonderful. and you were going to get to see how handsome Jake was. And you saw all of his awards in the background. And you saw me wearing the same exact. How'd I match my sweatshirt to the same exact color of the couch? Did you notice that? But now you don't get that. Now you just get audio.
Oh,
so
man.
It's a sad day. It's a sad, sad day. Well, you're my first guest on my podcast that isn't sitting in the same room as me. We should probably start with how we met. Do you remember how we met, or do I just remember?
Okay, so I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember how we met because I feel like it was. Wasn't it at your gym?
No, I vividly remember. Oh, maybe we did. Shit, maybe I'm wrong. No, so this is what I remember, right? I was at my gym, and we had one of the girls there. Her husband drives tour buses, and let me think. Hans,
yeah, that's my boy Hans.
So they were like, "Oh, we're in Philly. August Burns Reds in Philly tonight.
Oh,
do you want to go there?" Right?
Yep, that's how we met. I remember.
That's how we met, and I was there. I forget who was even with me. I was like with one of my designers. I was like with a ragtag group of people, and drove all the way to Philly, and we came in, and we like went right backstage and met you.
Yep. Yeah, man.
It was pretty cool. And the dudes that were with you, the your more weight crew,
more weight
right?
Fitness. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had some of those dudes there for sure.
So they knew me, I believe, right?
Yes, they did. Yep.
It was and then we rocked out. I forget who you were playing with, but that was our first introduction. It was like a very it's almost like we were just placed in the same room together.
Yep. Yeah, it was cool, man. Then we just became instant homies. It was just like, you seem like a nice guy. Oh, you seem like a nice guy too. Cool. I
appreciate that. At first meeting, I came across as a nice guy.
Yeah,
I was on my best behavior.
Yeah. You must have been. I mean, I saw you in the mosh pit, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so glad I'm not encountering that."
Well, I remember what you told me. You told me not to hurt anyone. And I was like, okay, I didn't plan on hurting people in the pit, but what I always because I've never performed live, but I'm always worried about like meeting the band or seeing the band prior, because I feel like they should be having this special time, and it's this big thing right before a big event, and I don't want to be like a random guy that comes and throws off the flow. So that's why I was on my best behavior.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean that's really cool that you even like think that way, because a lot of people don't. Like you're like, hey, I want to respect these guys' space, and like I don't know what their pre-show looks like, but I don't want to interrupt that. Which is cool, but that's only because I think you understand that because you yourself, are an entertainer, and you understand like there's preparation for things, So, but yeah, there's a lot of people that don't understand that, which is okay. I mean, it's not like, it's not like we're like, dude, what the hell,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely like a process to like warming up and getting ready and stuff. But you weren't in the way at all, bro. And like I was super pumped to meet you because Hans is my bus driver, or was my bus driver on that tour, and like obviously he had nothing but good things to say about you. And
Hey.
I think I had been to your gym, because it's like, I don't know, 40-minute drive from where I am.
Yeah.
And your gym has like this really unique vibe that I've never experienced at another gym. So like my buddies from the More Weight like crew, those guys we would do like Saturday, trips to your gym to like work out there, because it's just a great spot. So I was looking forward to meeting you in the first place, and it was just cool to see two different worlds collide,
Yeah. And I feel like now whenever we meet, it's just in random other states. So I think we trained together in LA.
Yep.
Or in Hollywood. Was that Hollywood? Somewhere out there.
Yeah, somewhere out there.
That show you were wearing a heart monitor, weren't you? Like some kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to test to see the average calories that I burn a night and what my heart rate was. and we're looking at like, I mean, in a headlining show, it's like an hour and a half we perform, so it's like roughly 800 to 1,000 calories, and then heart rate's at like 160, I think, or
And that's on average for the whole stage show.
yeah,
Whoa, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah. It's, I mean, yeah. I was curious. I was like, what the hell am I putting my body through?
Yeah, I don't, because, and once again, I'm not trying to pump you up or anything, but like I can't remember seeing anyone on stage not only have the same stage presence, but also like go as hard as you for so long.
Thanks, man.
It's very, if you can, guys, if you can go on YouTube, you probably have, there's probably like fan videos, right, of you on stage.
Yeah, yeah, on YouTube.
Have
Yeah.
you looked yourself up?
Um, have you checked yourself out, bro?
Have you Googled yourself?
I mean, I've seen them. Yeah, I don't spend, quality time looking up my YouTube videos, but I've definitely seen them and come across them and stuff. And actually, I have looked into those at certain times for like production reasons, like because another thing too is like, I want to perfect my skill, and so like when I watch or if I come across some videos like that, I will see, like, kind of look at myself and be like, okay, what am I doing here? What looks good, what doesn't, and then definitely for like production, for like lighting or certain, props or things like that. But yeah, there's definitely tons of like video footage of our shows on there.
That's dope because you get to see it from, I guess, the fans' cell phone perspective then too, right?
Yeah.
So like if you see that video, you get to, it's like an all-encompassing, like, oh, this is actually first person what that person's seeing happening.
Right.
That's dope. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. It's go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say the one thing that you got to do though is like, try not to be like your worst critic. Like try to view the person on stage as not being you, but like a band that you would go see or somebody you would be watching perform, and then critique it. You know what I mean? Because like I would not suggest that for people who are, you know, looking at themselves as themselves and then just demeaning the shit out of yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's easy for you to be like, "Oh, dude, that's not cool at all. Like you look so stupid doing that." But if you can look at that person as not yourself, then you can actually have like an unbiased, judgment.
Yes. Yeah, it's sort of the same but different, but like getting dressed, because I think that I've been trying to like experiment a little bit more with like what I wear, for example, because there's a bunch of things that like I'm like, I feel like I'll look dumb in that. And then I think once you put it on, you have to look at yourself as like, hey, I'm some guy wearing this, instead of critiquing yourself wearing it. And I found that helps me be able to wear different things. Mm-hmm. It's sort of what you're saying, but different is, it's like, yeah, I don't judge myself as myself. Like, oh, I look stupid in this hat.
Right.
But it's like, no, if I saw some other guy wearing this hat, I'd be like, oh, that guy's wearing a hat. I would never think like he'd look so much better in another hat.
Yeah, man.
But you're not even touring it right now, right?
No.
I mean, because
No.
I know I had on my calendar, Dana and I had on our calendar, I think it was April 2nd, Salt Lake, you with Killswitch Engage.
Yeah.
And dude, that was going to be the highlight of our year. And then this COVID-19 just crushed all of our dreams.
Yeah. Yeah, it's brutal. It was like a highlight of our year too, because our fans have wanted us to tour with Killswitch for a long time, and it was like perfect. It was a perfect, tour and setup and everything. And then, yeah, like 3 days in, our manager called us and was like, "Hey, we're on the phone with, Live Nation, and they're pretty sure they're gonna have to pull the plug on like all touring acts." So we had to prepare for that, and it was a huge bummer because that tour was like, I don't know, I feel like it was like 4 or 5 weeks long. It was all over the United States and Canada. It was just like the pre-sales for that were like through the roof, and our new record was going to be released on that tour. So we put a lot of time and effort into pre-production, and rehearsing the new songs and stuff. So it was a huge hit to us, and we were even thinking about postponing our record Guardians. Like we're like, man, why would we release this right now if we can't tour off of it? Because I mean, that's kind of the 1-2 hit combination. You know, like you release your singles to build it up, then you go on a nice tour, and then you release the album. Because I mean, we don't really make like bands don't make money off of streams, you know, Spotify or anything. I mean, we do get some royalties, but it's not, you know, the bread and butter's in the shows. You know, it's like we're performers. So, but then we thought to ourselves, man, if we postpone the release of this album, we're literally like not we're doing a disservice to our fans, because the whole record Guardians is about unity, love, self-sacrifice, you know, changing your perspective on like how you view other people. And right now, I think that's the you know, unity message is pretty big for what's going on right now. So we ended up releasing it anyways, and it's great. It's doing really well. Like we had an overwhelmingly positive response for the album, but it just sucks we can't go out and like we can't like perform it. So it's like we're just sitting here going, well, I'm glad everybody likes it, you know?
Yeah. Well, everybody loves it. I saw you're #1 in hard rock. You're #1 in rock, #1 in vinyl, #3 current album, and #4 digital album on Billboard, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at that. I'm like, that's amazing. That's really, really good. Is that like normal for when your records come out, or like an August Burns Red record? Is that what happens always?
No.
So this is.
Yeah, this is like, I think the band was expecting half the sales that actually accumulated for our first week, and definitely not to be on, you know, #1 of all those, you know, #1 or #3 or #2 of those charts. I know that we were, I think, number 53 on the top 200 Billboard, and that's pretty significant because the top 50 are pretty much usually like massive bands, like that's for like Taylor Swift and like Eminem and, you know, those type of like high level performers. So for us to be on the billboards at 53 was pretty huge. And like I said, it's like that's what blows my mind, because we've been doing this for like 15 years, and this is literally like our 8th album, and it did better than the last record. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's in the water, but I'm super blessed and thankful that people still enjoy our music.
I like that. Yeah, I was wondering if you, because I think the same thing. And once again, I don't feel like even talking about my music, like you and I are on the same level. You're definitely like, this is what you do. But I think every time that I release a record, I sort of circle back and I'm like, well, why did this one do well? And I can't tell, or I can't, you know, and even going into something like that, do you guys go in with expectations, or do you just say, okay, we're releasing an album? I'm sort of asking for myself just because I want to know from somebody else, but do you just release the album out into the universe and then say, okay, I wonder what's going to happen? Or are there any expectations? Are there...
I mean, I think it's good to have healthy expectations. I think, you know, what I've seen over the years is it's kind of a balancing act where you want to stay with the root of the foundational pieces of what makes your band, yet you want to go outside of the comfort zone and experiment. But there's a place and a time for everything. If you want to build a career, there should be some boundaries to your outside experimenting, because if you go too far outside, you're going to start writing something that is nothing like who you are, and that's a dangerous place. And some bands are successful in that, or maybe that's their goal. They're like, yo, we're gonna jump genres here. We're gonna, write an album that's super poppy and catchy or whatever. And that's totally up to the band. But like with us, we've kind of solidified ourselves in the genre, and we also have great honor in that. Like people, our fans have given us the authority to be positioned in the place that we're positioned, and we
Yeah.
feel great honor in that, and humility, and like we want to stay there. So it's fun for us to grow because we have to in order to continue to like create art. We don't want to
Yeah.
replicate. We don't want to imitate. We want to be leaders, not followers. So there is
Mm-hmm.
that pressure of, hey, let's get creative. Let's think outside the box. Let's continue to sharpen our tools, and through understanding and humility, collaborate to the greatest degree, so that our product can be great, not just good. But also keep in mind that we have fundamentals that we've got to stay and keep rooted in the sound, or we're not going to be ourselves. And we want to stay true to ourselves. So there are limitations, but again, it's all healthy stuff. It's not like this overbearing stress or this, we make sure that we give ourselves a lot of time. Like JB, I know that JB and Dustin are already writing music. Like, and our record just came out like 3 weeks ago. It's because we have to
Mm-hmm.
keep continuously growing, and pursuing another level. If we don't, we're just gonna write the same record, or we're gonna end up short. And we, like I said, we've got this position in the industry where people have blessed us with the gift of authority in this scene, and we don't mess around with that. So I guess I hope that answers your question.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I always wonder. How much you can experiment and how much you can. But I like that. It's like you guys have a set of core values that you sort of hold to, and then not even. Experiment and grow. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, there was some cool stuff that I did in the studio vocally that everybody was pumped on and was like, "Yo, this is sick! Like, this is really, really great stuff." But it's too much. It's not us right now. And I think that's important for people who have a business or have a career to plan ahead and kind of have like, okay, this is where we're heading or where we're gonna go, but right now that's not where we're at. So let's perfect where we're at now, and but still continue to carry a vision for years down the road type of thing. And so some of the stuff that we were doing in the studio was great, but it was too soon, and
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to kind of reel things in. So that's just kind of, I guess, how we operate, even though we don't really like sit down and talk about it. It's just kind of
Yeah.
how we how we maneuver. But you can, for you personally, like, and for our band, I mean, we can, ask our fans like, what songs, do you really love, or, you know, you can look at the analytics and the stats of like
Mm-hmm.
what's being streamed the most, and we often do that so that we know what to do in like for live performance. So like for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
Bloodletter is like the heaviest song we've ever written on Guardians. So we're gonna perform that for people because that seems to be through analytics like one of their favorites, and then Lighthouse and um, Paramount. So it's helpful definitely, to try to gauge those songs, and then that way you kind of know what people really like about
Yeah.
your music.
That it's funny because as you were saying that, I was thinking about like the parallels between that and like Flag Nor Fail, and how there's places that we want to get to as far as like cut and sew production and style, but the brand's not there yet. So we'll get
Right.
something, like we'll draw up this sample or design something, and it shows up and you put it on, you're like, wow, I love this, but we need to work our way to get here. Like if we came out this right now, our current fan base would just not dig it. So it's interesting how it's like we sort of do the same thing. It's not calculated, but it's just something that's just casually happening in the growth period. Is like this is where we want to get to, but it's a little too soon. I do sort of want to hear what you recorded though. That was a little bit too much. You've definitely piqued my interest with that. I always feel like other people have some kind of inside information. When are you going to start touring again? Do you have any inside information? Because I listen to the news and I ask people, but is there any kind of like on the horizon of, hey, like, are you planning another tour or is it just sit around and wait?
Yeah, so we've planned multiple tours, but the problem is like it looks like tours are still getting canceled. Like we just had to release the fact that our European tour is being postponed. Obviously the Killswitch Engage was postponed, and they're setting up like other months that we can do these tours, but we don't want to release any of that information because if we do, people are excited and expect that to happen, but we don't really understand like what's going to happen in the foreseeable future. So like we would have to maybe cancel or postpone those dates. And I was told from somebody that like they may not have like big groups of people for like 12 to 18 months, which means I've already been out of a job for almost a year. And so like, you know, because this Killswitch tour was like 2 months, taking up pretty much 2 months. We were off for a few months to write the album. And now the other tour that we were going to do is postponed. So it's like pretty much a year that I won't be touring. So
but
go ahead.
So you're going to do something though, right?
Well,
like do you have a plan?
Well, thankfully, like I have a nonprofit, as you know, Heart Support, that I work diligently with and for. And then I have More Weight Fitness that I'm working on building. And so those things, and then I'm doing like as much social media as I can for our fans, just to like connect with them and like hopefully give them some sort of positivity and encouragement. So I'm busy on that front. But as far as like, I don't know, you know, touring or the band, I mean, really we're kind of almost like sitting ducks at this point.
As soon as this travel ban's lifted, I'm just going to travel around and record podcasts.
That's definitely the way it should be. Man, that's another thing about not being on tour is like, bro, like all my friends live in different states, you know, and so it's like, not only was it like, obviously great for me to be on the road for financial reasons, for, you know, connecting with fans and performing, but like I had like all these dates with like dinners and, you know, hangs with friends, and like now that's all gone too. So it's been a huge drag.
Did you delete them? Did you keep them on your calendar? Like your Apple calendar or whatever?
The dates?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I did the same thing. So like it'll be I'll get like flight notifications like at like noon today, and I'm like, wait, what? Where was I going? Like, and it's, you know, it's been like a month of that, or it's been like dinner with blah blah blah, or like, you know, make sure they're at this meeting, and I'm like, well, none of this, it just all vanished. It's like I could have just deleted my whole calendar.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It's a bummer.
But we were talking about the recording, the reaction videos.
Yeah.
And just how much I love it, and what I didn't realize. Because you know how YouTube sort of, it's like, oh, you've watched this, now we're going to tell you what you watch from now on. I'm in this whole world of like people reacting to eating some kind of food for the first time, and I guess because I watched your reaction videos, that's now what YouTube wants me to watch, is people reacting to doing things for the first time. Yeah. Or like there's vocal coaches that are like reacting to different kind of like singing or screams, and they're always the same thing. If you get into those, they're always just horrified. Like It's like it's I don't know, it's funny, but it's a whole interesting world that I love, and I'm glad that you're getting into that because I
Yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, I enjoy it as well. I didn't ever see myself going down this path of doing first reaction videos for for other metal bands. But like I was
No.
saying, it's a really like multifaceted thing where it's like I give back to my fans because they enjoy it, and then I get to give back to my peers because I'm promoting and celebrating their art. So it's a cool way for me to spend my time. I could definitely be doing other things, but those things probably wouldn't be as maybe gratifying or positive for myself and other people.
Hmm.
Um, and that's if like that's been my message a lot in like podcasts and interviews. Is like for people right now, like I would encourage them to expand and break from their routine and their normalcy and try to go experience things that they can right now. And like I don't know, if you're a painter, like pick up that brush that you haven't touched for 5 years, or if you're a journalist, or if you're a poet, or let's say there's an activity that like you, dude, I've been watching your videos on all these crazy exercises that you're doing, and if someone's never done that before, but they've always thought about it, it's like do that, like go try to engage yourself right now and experience things that you wouldn't usually experience because you've got the time. And if you engage yourself, um going outside of your comfort zone, man, like it's gonna breathe life into you. It's gonna like release those endorphins. It's gonna bring some kind of challenge or validation or transformation in your life. And it's like that's what I encourage people to do because this normal routine sometimes can start to kind of chip away at our excitement, our joy, our our ambition.
Hmm.
So this is one of the ways where I'm like, dude, I don't know how to video edit. Are you kidding me? It takes me like half an hour to like find a button on this thing.
It
Um,
seems like you're doing great.
well, thanks, man. It's taken a
I mean,
lot
you
of
got to.
time.
I mean, okay. Well, it looks pretty seamless from this side. It's like, wow, he just knows how to do this.
Yeah, it's definitely not the case, but I'm glad that I'm putting out good, decent content because that's the other thing too for me. I'm a very performance-based person, so like, if I'm going to do something and I'm going to show it to the world, I'm going to like try to nitpick it and make it as good as I can. Um and so I'm glad to hear that you feel like, I'm putting out some decent stuff. So
You're doing it, dude.
it's cool, man. It's fun.
Do you want to? So I think a lot of people are forced to. I just want to touch on this because I'm seeing you now training your garage,
Yeah.
and I love it. I
Thanks,
I
man.
I grew up, training at home. I think what was it? Maybe like 14 until like 17. I just trained in my basement.
Mm.
And then Dane and I originally, like, when we finally got a house, our garage, we put like a little training area in the garage. So we've always had the dream of like our own little space training. And I love that like people are, I mean, geez, being forced to do that now.
Right.
And that's another thing too that like I love that you're into fitness. It's something that once again from an outsider I really admire about you because I know that because I've heard this from a lot of artists, but being on the road, it's just like, yeah, man, there's no time to train or find a gym or stay active with this or have fitness be a part of your life. And it's such an easy thing to like throw out. And I think even now it's even easier with the gyms being shut down. It's just like, yeah,
Mm.
man, I don't have anywhere to work out. But it seems that you saw that as a priority and you have quite the little gym going in your garage.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, I got word that this quarantine thing was going to happen like probably like 3 days before it actually happened. So I ran to Dick's Sporting Goods and I got a bunch of stuff that I felt I was going to need, like, Bowflex dumbbells and um, you know, I got a bench and some bars and like um because that is a priority for me, and it kind of stems from understanding my mental health, understanding like how I operate, and kind of like self love and like
Yeah.
upkeep. So, working out for me just is super therapeutic and like my alone time, and then I just feel so good after it. And then like when I start to see my body transform and change, it is a reminder to me when I look in the mirror and I see that like, maybe I'm slimming down or maybe I'm gaining some muscle or whatever. It's a reminder that like I'm I too need to love myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that's important. And if I don't love me, it's harder for me to love others. And if I'm too busy loving everyone else and I don't love myself, I'm just gonna burn myself out, So it serves multiple different purposes, um, and I think it's just important, man. For me, it's like, for me to say, oh, I don't have time for it. It's like, well, that's your decision. Like you're choosing. Everybody's got the same
Mm-hmm.
24 hours. Um, and if you've got too much going on in one area of your life where you can't work out, Jake, then you need to go look at that and trim some of the fat in that area so that you can have time to work out because um, loving me is just as important as loving my dreams and my purpose and my passion and other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the self-care thing. I mean, you and I have talked, and I know that you have heart support. That's something that I want to circle back and talk about heart support a little bit more, but that's something that I think the last, I don't know, year for me, I've been trying to like, I should listen to Rob a little bit more, and I should make sure that like Rob is, it sounds funny talking about myself like that, but make sure like, take the time to do this, take the time to stretch, even my training, my recovery, everything. Because now that I'm 36, I think emotionally and physically, I've spent the last, like 15, 20 years or however long, just like almost it's a badge of honor that I had, which was like beat the shit out of myself and then not acknowledge feelings. And I was like so
Yeah.
proud of that, which was like, I saw it as like being able to handle anything or just being like a quote unquote man. Like, this doesn't make me sad
Right.
because I don't have feelings. And like doing that for so long and then finally getting to this place here and just being like, one, sort of thinking like, am I in danger? And then two, realizing that like, well, I'm not enjoying life, which is why I do this up and down thing all the time. And then two, like, without taking care of myself, like, am I acting at my maximum? Like, I'm all about progress, I'm all about growth, like all these things, but I feel like I've only been addressing one side of it, and the self-care side, and even making sure that like not feeling guilty while I train, because if I train for an hour and a half, like the old me, 45 minutes in would be like, man, I should stop right now. I got so much work to do. Like, I'll just go do my work. And now, that jumping around, the video clips you see me working out and all that, it's like, I make sure that like, no, I'm like, not only do I have an hour and a half, but if I go over that, like, it's okay. I need this. It makes me stronger mentally. It makes me stronger physically.
Right.
I think that's been my last maybe year, 2 years of trying to make sure I take care of myself, which is something that like, going to the galley, hearing you talk and knowing more about heart support, which I would love, for you to talk more about right now and sort of explain what it is, because I think it's beautiful.
Thanks.
What more I found out about you doing that, the more is like, once again, dude, I respect the hell out of you. And I think that's like, it's an amazing thing you're doing. I'm trying to figure out how that translates into my life and what I do, because even hearing you talk about it, every time I hear it, every time I see a post or anything like that, I'm like, man, I need to do more good stuff. Like, I don't know what I need to do good, but like, it lights that spark inside of me that like, we're all in this together, and like, I have a voice. I can do things. I'm not sure what it is yet, but every time I see a post about it, I love it. So do you want to tell these people what heart support is and what your mission is?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first, let me say this, man. Like, you do a lot of great things, and I see how much you engage your following and like people that look up to you, and you inspire so many with fitness and achieving goals, and I mean, like, and you respond to like a ton of a ton of the comments, and that means a lot, man. Like that goes so far. If you want to talk about mental health and like giving to others, um, words of affirmation, that's like um, a primary love language for a lot of people, especially on social media. It's like that's what a lot of people are looking for. They're looking for words of affirmation that they're doing the right, that they are good or they are enough, and things like that. And so when you comment to those people and you're like, man, keep going, and like you're doing a great job, like that takes just a moment of your time, but it could last a lifetime for some people. And I'm you know I'm one of those people, where words of affirmation are huge for me. And when somebody says like, hey man, that someone that I look up to says, you're doing a great job, that carries on, into my heart. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I choose to accept that good gift that person gave me, and apply it to my life and go, well, if Rob Bailey respects the hell out of me, like that makes me feel good and worthy, and like, bring some validation to me that I'm a good person. And humans, in my opinion, I believe that humans were created to do two things: to love themselves and to love other people, to give love and to receive love. And it's really hard for people who um, don't receive love to give love. And so when you go out there, man, and you do that type of thing, man, you're giving love to these people and they're receiving it, and it's helping fuel them, and doing what I think we're created to do. So don't feel like, every time you see Heart Support doing something, you're like, oh man, I need to do something good. You're doing plenty of good, Rob, and I respect the hell out of you. But with that being said, Heart Support, what it is basically, I was on tour with ABR in the very beginning, like 2006, and I would engage my fans at our merch table every night. And I did this for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And this was kind of my promise to myself and to God, like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna, steward, and I'm gonna invest in the people who are investing in me. And I just heard all these stories of like people come to me and be like, my dad like raped me when I was a child, but your song Redemption is I listen to it all the time and it's helping me forgive him. Or, you know, um, I was a heroin addict and me and all my buddies were 6 months sober because every morning we listened to your song Composure. Or, a girl showed up once with like blades in her hand, and they were like covered in like old like blood, and she put them in my hand and said, you can have these. I don't want them anymore because your music has taught me that I'm good enough. Like some pretty heavy stuff, man. And like, I sit
Yeah.
there and I'm like, I'm talking with these people, and I'm either I'm praying with them or I'm just holding them and hugging them, and like we're crying, and I'm just like, and then I leave, I go to another city or another state, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like this isn't okay, right? And why isn't anybody doing anything about this? And then I'm just like, talking to God one night in Chicago, and I'm like, hey, like, what do I do? Like, what can I do to give back? You know? And then the idea of Heart Support came up like that night. I was probably up for like till 4 in the morning writing all these things down as to like what Heart Support was going to be, and the foundation of Heart Support, and like the rules. And like the big one is like, um, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter what you believe in. It doesn't matter who you're in love with. It doesn't matter what you've done or what's been done to you. Like you're accepted at Heart Support. And so I built this online community where people can engage each other anonymously, or they can have their own profile and talk about all this stuff. And we have over 500,000 people engaging our social media and our site, our community, a month. So you've got all these people that are talking about the things that they've dealt with, And others are coming up saying, oh my gosh, like I dealt with that too. And this is how I found healing. Or I read this book. It's a really great book. You should read it. Or, you know, getting some of our own resources. Heart Support has a book on depression called Dwarf Planet. We have a book on self-harm. I have my own book, which is about my faith and the struggles I've been through. We've got a couple other books out like that are similar to mine from other metal musicians, and then we do like interviews with musicians and athletes, them sharing their stories of overcoming addiction or struggles, and so it's all about mental health, man. It's all about, like I said, receiving love and giving love, and trying to help encourage people, with their difficult moments to help them find a unique path of healing. So I'm really proud of that. I think I'm more honestly when I'm gonna be at my deathbed and look back on my life, I'm gonna be very proud of the successes that I've had and accomplishments that I've gotten with the band. But I think when it comes down to it, what I'm really going to be proud of is I'm going to be proud of the fact that I listened to, to my heart and to God when I wanted to help people in a real place, and was able to help cultivate a community of people that were willing to engage each other on a heart-to-heart level. I think that's really what is important, and we need each other, man. Like, whether we agree with our political views or our religious, views and morals, like, let's put that aside, man. Like, because we've all been hurting. We all know what joy is and what love looks like, and like that's really important. I think is just people in general. Yeah, I don't know. So it's called heartsupport.com. It's an online community for people that, are dealing with mental health issues. And, mental health issues, a lot of people look at that and go, oh, well, I'm not, depressed, or I'm not addicted to drugs. But that's not necessarily, I mean, that's more surface level understanding of what mental health is. It's more of like the fact that everybody has challenges in life or goes through a difficult moment. That could be a nasty breakup, a divorce, that could be the loss of a job or career, that could be the fact that maybe someone in your family's passed, or you no longer get to speak to your daughter or your son because, something happened in the past or whatever, right? Like, everybody's got challenges, man. And how we engage those challenges when they come to us is based upon how healthy our mental state is. If we carry a wound in our life, that becomes baggage. And a lot of times it changes our perspective or how we judge others or what we're willing to accept in our lives and not accept in our lives. And for you to continue to have some sort of resentment or some wound in your heart, it's going to dictate the path that you take in your life. It's going to have limitations for you, and it's going to change the effect of the greatness that you leave on this earth. And it all starts in your mental. Some can question spiritual, but definitely your mental state. And so, like, that to me is very important. I don't think that a man who's hurting and hurts others is a waste. I think that with love and understanding and grace, that man can become good and then therefore not hurt any longer and no longer hurt others and do good on this earth. And that is something I hold close to my heart.
You nailed it, man. I think it's so true. And I think that the mental aspect is huge. I think that so many people out there, I mean, I know I guess I can just talk about myself, but like, didn't even realize it was a thing, And I think going back to that whole, you realize how much clearer you can think. You realize how every single decision is tied into, my last 36 years of life, and so many little parts where I don't think I'm good enough, or reasons that I do things. And it's really, you're you're being controlled by all of these things. And more or less, that's my new quest that I feel like, is to figure out what all those old things are in my life that I can sort of, cancel out and then allow myself to move forward with the freedom of like making honest decisions that aren't controlled by some little thing that happened 10 years ago that I suppressed because I was too much of a badass to, acknowledge it.
Right.
And it feels good, man. It's a confusing, scary journey, but it definitely feels really good. And I feel like it's like unlocking the superpowers. And I regret not doing it sooner. So I love the fact that like you're a voice for that, because that's something that I feel like we need like cool, influential people to tell you something. That's what I need to believe it. You know what I mean? So I think that, you and I have spoke briefly about God and things like that. And that's something that like I've never really hopped into growing up. And then just like, it's always been presented to me in a package from a weird old white guy that I see on Sundays, you know what I mean? Or the package has been, dare I say, like a crazy-ish person. Yeah. Or someone that like is like, well, if you don't do this, then you burn. It's like, whoa, all right, I'm gonna get away from you. Like, it's always been presented in a weird package by a person that I don't look at and think like, oh, cool, I want to listen to this person. And I think that it's really cool that the way you handle yourself, the way you present yourself, in regards to mental health, in regards to God, I think that you'll get a lot more people listening, especially because you're, the lead singer of one of the dopest metal bands on the planet. You know what I mean? So you're doing really, really, really cool stuff from the right angles, the right way. And I love to see it.
Thanks.
No problem, dude.
I think that faith for me is very, very personal and intimate and precious to me. So I would like to respect others and think the same. Like if they are going to pursue their faith or a relationship with God, that it means something to them. So if it does, I don't want to take that lightly, and I don't think that I should throw my faith around lightly. I also think that, and I spoke a little bit about it before, but it's like, you only have authority to speak into my life if I give it to you. Like,
I like that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let like whatever you say at me is what you're gonna say at me, but that doesn't mean that you have the authority to speak to me, right? Like, I give you that authority because I respect you, or I honor you, or I love you, right? So when someone sits down with me and then speaks at me about something that's very, very important and precious to my heart, I have to, first, am I going to give them the authority for me to take this into my life and listen? What are their intentions? And a lot of times, unfortunately, people may have good intentions, but the way that they are communicating is not accepted. It's just not right? And I haven't given them the authority to do so, and they haven't understood that. So I really like to talk about Jesus if somebody gives me the authority and wants to know. And that's why I wrote my book, which is heavily faith-based, about my faith. And the reason why I wrote a book is because, guess what? Like, you have to go get it. Which means if you purchase this book, then you're willing to give me the authority to say what I have to say by reading it. And if you put it down, that's okay too. But you gave me a chance to speak and share. And that's kind of how I would prefer to do it. I mean, I'm not going to hide my faith. I'm not gonna not say what I want to say, but I'm very intentional with my words because I understand the gravity. And I would hate, and I think I've done this before because there was a time where I was super religious and I was a complete asshole. Um, and I hate thinking about it, but um, I would hate for me to say something to someone that I like or love or just any human being that would push them away from God. Because then who really gets hurt in the end? God, not me. I mean, I'm an asshole and I said something stupid, but now there's a person out there that isn't willing to have an encounter with God on their own, in their own intimate setting, their own private place, and willingness to engage God because of something stupid that I said. So that's why I don't like to just flaunt my faith around and just say whatever comes up, because it's not that type of thing. You don't do that. You don't do that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that as to why I operate the way I operate.
Yeah, and I think with you saying it like that, I can tell, and I think being conscious with how you do it, I'm relating that to like everything else in my life right now, and obviously overanalyzing my day so far, what I've said, but yeah, no, I think that it definitely shows in how you carry yourself and how you speak. I like it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
No problem, dude.
Yeah, it's just a important thing in my opinion, and not to be taken lightly. So I'd rather not try to take it lightly.
I love it. Well, I had.
You go ahead. I have a question for you at the end.
Oh, I'm ready.
You are.
I was going to say we're close to the end here. My times are all messed up because we've had so many interruptions. I had one question that's not really relevant at the end, but you can ask me yours first.
Okay. All right. Well, first off, I remember, this is just a funny moment that I love. I remember you came to my gala for Heart Support, you and Dana. Mm-hmm. And you guys, first off, you're dressed to the nines. You guys looked absolutely phenomenal.
I was living in Montana, and I was like, yeah, I'll just go rent a tux because normally it's an easy thing to do. But I forgot that I'm in the middle of nowhere in Montana. And they measured me, and bro, they sent me this giant, I was in such a bad mood because it meant so much for me to be invited and so much to go. And then I got this tux, and it was so blousy and big. So I appreciate you saying that, but,
I thought you looked great, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And that was such a cool, because it was our first time ever doing a gala, and we really tried to go all out on it, and it was so much fun. There's just basically, it was like all my friends were in a room together and all talking about, the importance of heart support. And then I remember after that, we went out to a bar, and as we're walking there, I was like, I just gotta say, man, I hope this isn't awkward, but like, I love you guys. and by the way, I don't think at that point it wasn't like I had drank too much or anything. I think I was just like so full of joy and like thankfulness that, and it was like, actions really speak a lot. And so to see you guys come out for this event really made me feel loved, and I was like, man, I love you guys. And I just felt so stupid.
Why?
Saying that, because it's like
I don't remember that moment, but I do remember, like, dude, the whole event was so emotional. Like, it was such an intense, good event, and I don't go to things like that. So I remember feeling like that.
Yeah.
But I don't remember that conversation. That we were walking down that street. It was a street in Austin, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There was so much going on. It was like we were walking through a circus.
Yeah.
Right? So my worry is, did I miss you saying that? Did I give a weird reaction?
No. I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you were like, I love you too.
Okay, well, good. So, then
yeah.
Why would you feel weird?
I don't know. It was just like, because it's not like we're like born and raised together, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah. And now I just totally forgot your question.
Oh, I didn't ask you a question.
Oh, you didn't?
No, you had a question for me.
Okay, here it is. This is it.
All right, I'm ready.
I'm sorry, bro.
It's all right.
Okay. What? Because it's like I see you just running 100 miles per hour, and you've got all these amazing things that you're doing, and like you've got your fitness, you've got your gym, you've got your fitness, you've got your blog, you've got your you're doing this podcast, you've got like all these areas in your life that you're just living your life, and that in itself is just a beautiful thing to see and encouraging. It's like this guy's gonna go get it if he wants it, and even if it doesn't become something huge, at least he did what was in his heart and committed to it. So that leads me to your new record that's coming out. I think it's coming out this week, April 30th.
Yeah, we're 10 days away.
Yep.
I don't feel like I'm ready, but okay.
You're never ready.
It's uploaded. It's ready to be released. So.
Which, by the way, I'm gonna do a first reaction video for one of those songs for sure.
Ooh, thanks, man.
Yeah, because it's gonna be fun. But like, where did it come into your heart where you're like, I want to do, because you've got your other band, but like this band obviously, is much heavier and aggressive, and the lyrical content, it reminds me of Jamie Josta from Hatebreed,
yep.
which that is a huge compliment.
I took it like that, yeah.
Yeah, where'd that come from, man? I want to know.
So I guess I can explain that. I mean, that's what I grew up listening to, like I grew up listening to a little bit of everything, but I think Hatebreed was one of the first bands that like it did something to my insides different, like, and I guess without even realizing that's what carried over into me making music is, as it's not traditional like affirmations, but it's, I think going through life, and once again, I am doing a lot of stuff, and it catches up to me and I get beat down, and then I have to give myself a pep talk. Right? And it's like, Rob, you can do this, or like whatever. But it's normally, it's not a friendly pep talk, It's very, it's like it's this like, I beat myself down and I have to like build myself up, and like, but I give myself all these little sayings and like you're a fucking killer, like fuck this shit, fuck everybody, and like I get really amped up, and I've always done it for sports, and I've always done it for life, and there's a lot of times when I'm just in my car like telling myself these things. And when I went to make music, a lot like that's a lot how Hatebreed's lyrics are. It's about like, I mean, I think like a lot of the old hardcore stuff is like just like spit my last breath, and like it's just all about being like this badass who can make it through anything and fight till the end and all that.
Right.
And when I was making music and still making music, it's music things that I need to hear in my own head. And I think a lot of times, like, you listen to a band and it's like, oh, well, I broke up with this girl and you've done this to me and you've done this to me, and I understand those feelings, and I have those same feelings, but I almost wanted to like lyrically skip past that. It's like, okay, cool, someone did something to me, there's adversity, whatever, and then here's my pep talk to myself, because I realized that my music is generally played when someone's about to do something in the gym, they're about to play sports, they're getting pumped up for something. And I just thought that maybe there'd be people out there that respond to the same things that I say to myself in my own head. Which are a lot like old Hatebreed lyrics and things like that. But that's a lot of what it is. With this new record, I was able to experiment a little bit more, because with Charlie, we both had a say. And every once in a while I'd be like, oh, no, that's a little bit too much. I feel like we said that a lot. It was like, oh, that's too much, or we can't experiment with here, or I felt like we had a box, we had guidelines to fit in. And stepping out and doing this solo project and being able to have the music be heavier. And that's why I asked you about expectations earlier, because like I really just made something that I specifically like. And the lyrics and everything, and there are some songs that are a lot more aggressive. Like there's a song called Fuck You. And like, I've never, there's a lot of the songs were written and they have like really deep meaning to me that like, I'm not even sure if I'm going to tell people what most of the songs mean. Yeah. When I think in the old band, a lot of it was like, okay, cool. We need to stay super positive. We need to, we need to chant this. We need to say this. That's too dark. That's a little bit too personal, like all these things. And in this project, I was able to sort of say some things that like, I'm nervous for people to hear them. I mean, I'm hoping that people don't know what they mean and they just relate them to themselves. But like, it's a lot more vulnerable. It's a lot heavier. It's so many different things. And, I don't know what to expect. When it does come out, I'm trying not to have expectations. I'm just hoping that like a couple people enjoy it, and then I'll be like, cool, that's all I was trying to do.
Right. So, I mean, what's that first single that you put out? Because
Heartbeat.
Yeah, dude, I play that on repeat in the gym all the time, dude.
Thanks, man.
That's so catchy, man, and so like it is. It's got so much energy and aggression, but it's positive, like, and that's a really cool take that you're like, this is the stuff that I say after the fact, to myself, that's encouraging me, because a lot of lyricists, they tell the story of the traumatic thing, like ABR shares so much different experiences and the troubles, and then at the very end we usually have some sort of glimmer of hope or light at the end of the tunnel. But what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I'm not going to really talk so much about the experience, but I'm going to focus more on the positive outcome or the positivity that I feed myself after the fact that experience has happened. And that's what...
Or during the event while you're dealing with it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I meant with the Jamie Josta Hatebreed is not necessarily the lyrical content. It's more of like the perspective. Like you're giving this perspective of like positivity and like you can break through and you can overcome and you can, survive. And that's awesome. And this is perfect timing for your release, I think, because everybody's home battling their own stuff. And so for them to have your music championing them on is epic. And I know that the heavy music scene is gonna gobble it up, man. Like it's
man.
No
Thank
question.
You. I'm very once again 10 days out, or from this. I don't know when we're releasing this podcast, but the April 30th. And I was gonna just start working on another record, but once again, Grant emailed me and was like, "Hey, so the studio is doing a little social distancing." And it's like, okay, so I guess that's just it's such a weird world, man. Which transitions into my question for you, because I just saw the T-shirt that you're releasing. And so I'm assuming you watched Tiger King and you loved it.
It was it's like a love and hate type of thing. I think honestly, JB came knocking on my door and was like, "Hey, man," via text message, obviously. I haven't seen him in a month, and was like, "Hey, we want to do this," and I just started laughing because it's the whole thing is just absurd in my opinion, and like, and I just find it to be hilarious that like this is what has become a trend or popular, and I know that like there's a lot in Tiger King that is probably not stuff I necessarily condone or think is necessarily a great thing. I just think it's fun and funny and hilarious, and I feel like right now that was something that we could do to just kind of get a laugh out of people and to make a joke out of, because obviously if people know me and they know Tiger King, they know that we have absolutely nothing in common.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anyone has anything in common with that, Like I saw the shirt and I think it's so perfect right now. I think it's just funny. Yeah.
They're selling like hotcakes, man. Because people are like, dude, first off, Jake hasn't had hair for like, I don't know, 20 years. And here I am just looking like the Tire King, and you know, it's just like we have nothing in common, so it's just like it's just funny, you know. It's like I think I'll probably be him for Halloween, wearing my own shirt, just looking like a dweeb. But
I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's an interesting. It was like the perfect storm. I think if that would have released, you know, because his videos are all up on YouTube. He exists. He's existed for many years. Right. But I think it's like the quarantine Netflix perfect storm cocktail, and it just made this thing. Yeah. But yeah, I saw that shirt, and I got to order one. So
yeah, I could probably just get you one, but don't.
I don't like that. That's not a thing that I really like. I like buying things.
Yeah. I always want to support, support my.
I am aware of that, and I know that you guys already. No. You guys already sent me the coffee.
Oh yeah, was that good, by the way?
So we circle through so much coffee. When we switched to it, I remember thinking like, "Ooh, this is good. What kind is it?" And I was like, "Oh, it's the August Burns Red coffee." I don't like, and I didn't even think that like, is this gonna be good? But no, it was good. I actually love the mug because my morning routine is very, very specific. Mm-hmm. I mean, like down to the minute. It's starting at like 5:01 a.m. And my first cup of coffee, it was too big. I was having too big of a cup of coffee, and that mug is like a little bit smaller. Yeah. And it's like the perfect amount for me to drink right before training. Wow. So I use it every single morning, and everyone always mentions, "Where can I get that?"
They can't.
So they're very excited.
Yeah, they can't. I got a question for you. You just talked about your routine and like it being down to the minute, like 5:01. Like, what time do you go to bed? And
so I all over the time. I was waking up at 4:45, but I realized that it was 15 minutes too early, and it wasn't benefiting my life. So I wake up at 5. I go to bed as early as possible, but I don't allow myself to like sleep past 5.
Okay.
So like last night, I think I went to bed at like 11:37 is the last time I saw before I like laid down.
Okay. Do you have like a routine for before you go to bed? Like do you read a book or do you?
No. My routine is I get everything ready for the morning. I'll run you through my morning real quick.
Yeah.
All right. So right before I go to bed, I put my shorts, my socks, T-shirt and sweatshirt that I'm going to train in, and I put that in the bathroom because I need to know where it is because I don't want to turn on too many lights to wake up Dana. And then in the kitchen, I put my outfit for the day. I put my coffee mug there. I get the coffee maker ready, and I get my water bottle. Then I go to bed. I normally look for houses because I've been doing this real estate thing, so I like shop for houses in bed for like 15 minutes to see if anything new popped up. In the morning, 5 a.m., alarm goes off at 5 a.m. I get up, I turn the alarm off, I put it next to me in bed, and my gift for waking up in the morning is I lay back down, and I like hug Dana for 15 minutes. That's like my little thing. It makes sure that I like take that time because I used to be a maniac in the morning, and I'm like, no, let me do this. So 15 minutes. Then I wake up. 5:15 I officially get out of bed. I hit start on the coffee maker and I sit down and then I meditate for 10 minutes on the Headspace app just because I found that if I do that, my days get so much better. That breathing also transitions into my training now because a lot of times I'm doing like hanging holds or I'm doing planks or things like that. So a lot of the meditation breathing comes into my training and helps out. And then, so then we're at 16, we're at 26. So then 26, I have my first cup of coffee, and I sort of start getting dressed. I go get my bag from the truck, start my truck, come back in, fill my bag up, put my food in my bag, my outfit in my bag. Then my trainer texts me at 5:36. He'll text me what my warm-up is. And I'm in the truck by 5:41, and then on my way to the gym.
Wow.
I get to the gym. I show up. I think it's 5:16. I'm sorry, 6:16. I get here. Turn on the lights. Turn the heat on. I figure out what mood I'm in to play the genre of music. I brush my teeth in the bathroom. Then my next big decision, I have 4 light switches. And they each control a row of lights in the gym. And depending on like how I feel, I decide what the lighting combination is going to be. And then I start my foam rolls and my dynamic stretching and everything. And then he walks in at, I think he walks in at 6:36, and we start training. So it's like, and I love it, dude. And a lot of people ask, like, how do you wake up so early? And it's like, well, no, this is because I know what I do. And it's always the times when I don't know what has to be done, where I have to think. That's when it's like hard to do, because that's when you can start like doubting yourself and be like, well, maybe I can lay in bed 3 more minutes. It's like, well, no, I can't, because then I'll be late for meditation, which will make me late for that. And I have to be scheduled like that.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
And your coffee mug is an intricate part of it.
I love it. I love that I'm a part of your day every day.
You're a huge part. And like, it's weird because it's not something that has just worked its way in where it's just there now. I actually like think about you and appreciate the mug every single time I pick it up. So I've had it for what, 2 months now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's 60 times I've picked it up, and I'm like, man, I really appreciate this mug.
That's awesome.
I should probably have told you that before then, but it's not just like an object. Like, it's something that actually means something to me in that in that moment. That's awesome. Well, dude, thanks so much for letting me be your first guest on your podcast, man. Dude, no problem. Sorry we dropped out video. It would have been cool to see you.
Yeah, I agree. Well, when this is all over, man, we got to maybe we'll meet up at the Warhouse gym.
Dude, I'm
get
totally
a nice
down.
Lift in and some hangs, man.
I love it. All right, man. We'll stay in touch. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, man. You take care.
All right, bro. Have a good one. Tell Winston I said hi.
All right, I will. Tell Danny I said hi.
All right.
All right. See you, brother.